Hi, this is Iris from Cashmere Goat in Camden, Maine. We are a super fun independent yarn store located right in the mid-coast area. I'm usually joined on this podcast by Kristen. She is the owner of the shop and she hasn't been with me for a couple episodes now. And I wanted to let you know that that's because she's been taking care of some health issues this spring and she's at home. Things are going well as they should be. Things are sorted, but she's at home because she needs rest and recuperation time. So myself, Miranda, and the Goat team here in the shop have been working hard to keep this place as awesome as it usually is when our fearless leader is with us and driving the boat. So we're thinking about her a lot, and she told me that it was okay to let you guys know that that's kind of been what's been going on, in case you were wondering. So this is the 24th episode. Did I say that even? I don't know. And so that's pretty exciting because we're coming up on 25 next time I do this. Let's see. First of all, I'm going to tell you that I'm wearing the Mossel shawl. Now, you've seen me, if you've been watching this spring, I wore like a kerchief version of this that I knit in Sonata Shima. And this is the original. This is the OG. And this Mossel shawl is knit, even though it looks like crochet. It's knit in Summer Sesame by Barocco, which is just such a nice, fun yarn. It's cotton, a little poly, I think, in there too. But it's just, the colorways are great, and it just works so well in this simple shawl. Now, what I loved about knitting this pattern was that it was basically like a 2-row repeat, super easy to get that in my mind. And it was kind of like one of those things, I just kept doing one more row and one more row, and it just kept being like zoop zoop. So you can make it full length like I just showed you, or kerchief length. Free pattern with purchase, and that goes for online as well as in the store. This is our sample that we have in the shop that I grabbed. And it's also the pattern that we are giving away for as part of our Maine Yarn Cruise. So you've heard me maybe talk about this before, but the Maine Yarn Cruise it's not actually on a boat, it's in your car. And it's a shop hop around, like, I think about 24 shops all around Maine that are fiber related. Each shop does things a little bit differently. And so each shop, the things that are the same at each shop is you get a couple raffle tickets, one for a grand prize from the shop, one from like a monthly drawing prize. So you can enter your raffle tickets as you want to. Maybe you love that grand prize and you're gonna just put your raffle tickets in that one, or maybe you wanna split it up. Maybe you don't like the grand prize and you just do the monthly prize. It's up to you. So that's consistent across the shops. We all do that. And then each shop has a little bit of, like, they do different things. So we give away a free copy of the Mossel shawl, as well as we've got a crochet pattern by Kristen Tendyke, and I'm just gonna pause right here and go get it because I forgot to grab it. We also give away a free option for a crochet. This is the Lacy Kerchief, and this is by our own Kristen Tendyke, who works here in the shop, and she's also a very talented knitwear and crochet designer. So this is so cute because you could totally wear it like over your hair, around your neck. Very, very sweet crochet options. So in our shop for Maine Yarn Cruise, now you get choice of knit or crochet, or if you're multi-craftual, I'll just give you both patterns. And we have a little freebie bucket. So if you make a purchase in our shop, you get something from the freebie bucket. You also get an extra raffle ticket if you make a purchase in our shop as well. And what's super fun is each year there's a different bag design. And if you've been here for a little while, you know that we love our bags here. Love a good bag. And this year we also really love that they've updated the design. So look at that. It's like so classy, so classic. You've got a button closure, you've got navy blue handles, and then we've got our sponsors listed on the back. And so it's a really nice sturdy canvas. It comes with goodies inside. It comes with some promo codes, free patterns from yarn companies. So it's really fun. People buy the bag for like $14. Some people just buy the bag. Other people like love to do the shop hopping. And so it really is great for us because we get to meet a whole bunch of new people that come through for the yarn crawl, yarn cruise every summer. And a lot of times this happens on weekends. Sometimes sometimes we'll have random cruisers that do like a day trip and they've hit a few shops in an area because we're a pretty geographically spread out state here in Maine. But yeah, that has been really fun. And this year there's a digital passport, which some people have been very excited about. So the digital passport means there's like this app that you open up when you enter the shop, and each shop has like a unique code that you enter. And then that's your kind of virtual ticket that yes, you've been there, and it's tracked that way. So that is that. But it's very lively, and I think the people that do the shop hopping really find it fun to see, you know, the different quirks about all of these independent stores, because we all have things that we do differently, yarns that are different, and it's just a delight for folks to see, and I love it when they walk in, they've got their bag over their shoulder, and it's like, welcome cruisers, great, come on in, let me tell you all about what we've got going on. So that keeps us pretty busy. All right, so what am I working on? Well, I wanted to give you a little update on my Soho top by Davies. So this is one of the things I've been prioritizing as part of my finish along adventure. As you may know, if you watch the podcast, we are hosting a finish along this summer. This is pretty low key. It's essentially a way to help us get motivated to finish the projects that maybe we've set aside. You know how it goes. A lot of bags, a lot of projects in those bags. So, you know, if you sign up for the finish along, you get occasional emails with like maybe pictures of people who have finished some stuff or process photos, and just also some of the psychology about finishing and what it means to pick up a project you've set down and understanding like, well, why did I set it down? And do I still like it enough to keep working on it? You know, all of those things. So we sent out a couple emails. We have meetups in the shop here on Sundays from 11 to 2. People drop in. We also have virtual meetups. Those are Wednesdays from 5 to 6. And again, just fun to hang out and put some stitches into something that maybe we've set down for a while. Let's see. So the Soho top by Davies, I'm using monochrome cotton by Earth Yarns. And it's one of these like weird constructions where you start at a strap and you knit down, put that on a holder, start at the other strap, knit down, and you're provisionally casting on, and then you pick up these stitches and knit down this way. And it was a lot of fuss and muss, but anyway, here I am finally on the body. Haven't gotten too far, and here's a silly thing that I did. Okay, I didn't trust the pattern. I looked at the length of the straps and it really looked tiny, and it was also hard at that point to have any sense of how it was actually going to fit on my body. So I extended the straps, and I'm sorry that I did, because now when I tried it on, it's not right. So look at this. So this whole edge will get I-cord as a finishing edge, so it won't be so a little bit messy looking. But what I plan to do is just sort of like take a snip and re-pick up stitches and graft them together, call it a day. But why did I do that? I should have just trusted the designer, but you know, it happens. And I will say that I love working with this cotton. It's a beautiful DK weight cotton. It's a little bit tonal, as you can see. This is indigo dyed, so one of the issues with it is that it does come off on my needles. And this is even after I gave it a second wash before I started working with it. So I haven't had anybody who's used the lighter colors of this yarn have any complaints about dye and bleeding and stuff, but I will definitely not be wearing this underneath a linen shirt, at least for a while. All right, so that's that project. Progress. Next up, as you know, I've been doing the Kate Davies Mystery Knit Along this summer. It's a mystery shawl knit along, and she announced it like this spring. I really love her as a designer, so I was pretty excited about it. It's definitely been a little bit surprising. I mean, in the best sort of a way that a mystery knit along can be surprising. This knit along, it started with a clue 1 that seemed like pretty logical, and then we went into an entirely different direction for clue 2. So we're just about to get into clue 3. That comes out tomorrow, and I'm pretty close, but I wanted to show you something. So if you don't want a spoiler, scamper on away, and I'm gonna show you what I've been up to with mine. All right, so as a recap, I can't even see you, it's so big. This is clue 1, this sort of interesting stripy square. Clue 2 had you do all of this interesting chevroning around the perimeter, making essentially a second square. Oh, hi, look, it's me. And so the pattern though had you, after you were done with the chevron outer like square part, come back and actually go down a needle size and be knitting garter stitch back and forth to fill in this center portion with your lightest color. And you were picking up little stitches at the beginning of each edge, and so you were securing it. And I got like 2 or 3 inches into that and was hating life. I mean, I really was dreading it. It felt like every single time I'd get to the end of a row, I'd be like, okay, it's one more row. And I'd look at the edge, and the edges looked weird to me. It just, because you were slipping one and then you were knitting 2 together. So there was just like, it just looked wonky and a little wobbly at the edge. The size, I'm already on size 3. That's plenty small unless I'm knitting a sock for me. So going down to a size 2, it just felt like my progress was infinitesimal. And I was hating it. And I was like, I don't like this project anymore. But I've invested already a lot of time. This is a lot of knitting, people, okay? This might be the last time I knit a fingering weight shawl for a very long time, or maybe ever, I don't know, but I'm just like, it's a lot. Loving my yarn, thank God. This is beautiful Fireworks by Rachel of On the Round. This is her Nimble sock base. I love working with it, and thank goodness. But here's what happened. I saw something on Instagram and was totally inspired by it. So I actually decided, I was like, screw this project. I am like putting it in timeout. I'm not even gonna think about it. I'm just putting it away like it doesn't exist. I'm not even looking at it. I don't wanna see it. So it was out of my mind, and I was working on the Soho top, just as if I had nothing else looming in my other project bag in the other room, just ignore. And fine, that went on for a few days. And then I saw something on Instagram that was a video by this like super sassy Australian accented person who basically said exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. And she was holding up a scarf, and she showed the pattern for it, and she said she did the first little bit of it, and then she said, and then I realized I didn't enjoy that at all. I'm not enjoying this. And so she decided to just go on her own adventure. She started the pattern, wasn't enjoying herself, and then decided to do something totally different. It was fabulous. It was wonderful. And I was like, oh my God, of course I can make my own solution to this thing that is really bugging me about this pattern. So no shade on the designer. I just want to say I still have utmost respect for Kate. I am really glad actually that I'm doing this mystery knit along. It's super fascinating and interesting to see what's going to come next. Truly feels like a mystery. Like I have no idea what clue 3 will bring tomorrow, but it just wasn't right for me. So I really thought about what was bothering me, and what was bothering me the most was that these chevrons, right? We were working from outside in. So I was getting that satisfaction of a decreasing every other round, okay? And I realized that was psychologically quite important to me. I also, frankly, was a little bit sick of garter stitch because the whole thing has been garter so far. So I was like, okay, stockinette, nice little mitered corner square, and I'm off to the races again and enjoying the project. So I've still got quite a bit to finish. I'm sure I won't be done by the time clue 3 is released tomorrow, but it's actually enjoyable again. So it just reminded me that you can modify any pattern. We talk so much about modifying patterns for fit and shape and everything, but honestly, if there's a part of the pattern that just feels like it's a chore or it's a drag or just doesn't feel right for you or uses some technique you don't really love, the fun part about this craft is we get to, like, once we are a little bit facile with it, we can substitute, you know, we can take our own direction, we can take the pattern as inspiration, but really truly make the project our own by making choices that are right for us, you know? Maybe that other part of the pattern could have been totally different for me had I been at a different point in my life. I mean, it's sort of like, you know, I have a background as a librarian, and we always say, well, the right book, the right time, the right person. You know, sometimes it's just not the right time for a person to read a book, and maybe this part of the pattern just, it wasn't the right time for me. Or maybe it never was going to be the right time for me. But anyway, came up with a solution that feels really good. So I'm back at it, and I love it. So yes, that's been that adventure. All right, if you went away because you didn't want a spoiler, come on back. We got that out of the way. So let me next tell you about what I'm dreaming about doing next, because in the past couple episodes, you've heard me talking about Millstone Tweed by Barocco. New yarn for fall, brand new yarn. And I just, it's literally right over there. And I felt like every time I was in that part of the store, it was just this little like siren song of like, come and squeeze, and it's so soft, and look at all the colors. So I finally gave in. And it was actually a little bit of a celebratory moment, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I rewarded myself with purchasing a ball of this beautiful color, which I believe is 11105 Ash, it's called. And okay, so here's my two color palettes. Gray, see the dress? Gray. Or rainbow and wild, like that. So this is gray, but it's more than gray. It's got its beautiful tweeds. There's little tiny flecks of blue, darker gray, and it is just so freaking soft. So Millstone Tweed. What did I do with it? Well, I started to stock, like, the first part of maybe this new yarn crush, right? The first part of any yarn crush is like, you love the yarn, and then you're like, but what am I gonna do with it? So right away, as soon as it came in, I started to hop on Ravelry and search for some patterns and tried to, really think about what was going to showcase this yarn, what seemed interesting. It's a nice chunky Aran weight. So again, lovely break from a fingering weight shawl. Love it. So Aran weight, and I came across a design by Teti Lutzak. Yes, Teti. Who has done the beautiful like bifurca sweater, which is super gorgeous. Very unique construction. I've never knit anything by this designer before, but it's called the Irish Rover Pullover. And it uses, uses right and left cross as stitch patterns, which are kind of it's a cabled look, but it's basically just like one stitch crossing over. So it's a little bit more subtle, a little smaller in scale. And I decided the other day to purchase that ball and knit a little swatch. This is phase 2 of yarn obsession, right? Like, you think about it for a while, you are dreaming about your patterns, and then one day you give in and you buy like a ball and just, okay, I'm gonna try this, just I'll swatch it. You know, it's not really cheating on my other projects if it's just a little swatch. So here we go, right? Look at this, it's gorgeous. Now this was an 8. This was what the pattern recommended. Right away, I felt like that fabric was a little, like when I looked at my knit stitches, they just seemed a little crowded. It didn't seem like there was enough space for them to bloom and be lovely. But I don't know, can you see there's just like the sweetest little halo of fuzz there too? So then I very quickly moved up to 9. 9 felt pretty darn good. And so the pattern gauge suggested that you do some stockinette and you also do some of the pattern texture. So this is a right cross, left cross, and you can see it's like, you kind of have to like hold it back a little bit. And again, it's not, obviously this is, you know, would be repeated over the front placket of the sweater. And then just because I like to do this to myself, like I was pretty sure that the 9 was gonna work in terms of the gauge for both that texture pattern, you know, those kind of crosses that will suck the fabric in a little bit, as well as the stockinette. Like I was pretty sure that after blocking, I would be right on the money. But just to put any doubts out of my mind, I said, okay, I am going to switch up to a 10 just to see. And pretty much right away, I was like, ooh, I don't think so. This feels very like just a little too floppy, too sloppy. And then when I did the texture, you can see I did only like the barest few because like the stitch definition just was not there, just was a no. So that was my swatch. I like a big swatch. I like to do some transitions, and this was swatching in the round, which I don't love, but I do it, like taking vitamins. But here's the really cool thing, is as I was binding off at this end, I started with my typical bind off, you know, the knit one, knit the next one, pass the slip stitch, pass that first stitch over. You know, so it creates these little, right, the V's. And then I remembered that I'd seen on Instagram, it seemed like it was a big thing maybe a few months ago, Icelandic bind off. And I just had never tried it. I'd seen videos, looked cool, looked kind of like an interesting technique. But I was like, what the heck? Perfect time to try it. And I Icelandic binded off. I bound off in the Icelandic way, perhaps is the better way to say it. So this was my beginning part where I was doing the traditional V's. This is the Icelandic bind off. And I realized that this is the ideal bind off for garter stitch. Are you seeing this? It basically just looks like garter stitch, right? As opposed to the rows of V's. And just because I wanted you to really see how it looked, I brought an old sweater. This is like my house sweater. You know, I've mended it with a heart-shaped patch over an elbow, had to replace the cuffs. Okay, usually don't even wear this in the shop because it's kind of like my snuggly wuggly sweater, you know, it's just a little funky. There's probably a little paint on the arm from sometime when I was painting, but it's called the Cobblestone by Jared Flood. It has a garter stitch yoke, has some garter stitch along the sides, garter stitch hem. I used a Maine wool for this. This is a 20-year-old sweater. It's held up beautifully. And I'm almost feeling like, I don't know, let me see on the cuff. So I had to replace the cuffs a few years ago, but all right, see, right? V's, 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 V's. And it's sort of that line of V's with my cast off, it just sits a little flat, right? It's just like, okay, it's flat, it's fine. But there's definitely like, those V's are sitting on top of the garter. As opposed to, it kind of, in the same way that the tubular bind off looks like it continues the bind off over the edge of your knitting, this Icelandic bind off looks like it just continues that garter stitch right over the edge. So cool, right? Let me just say one thing about the Cobblestone pullover, just because you might be wondering. I looked this up pretty recently because we were talking about it on a Zoom for one of our knit-alongs, and it's not graded for many sizes, okay? So I think there's maybe only 4 sizes in the pattern, and it has not been updated to be more size inclusive. So we'll just say that. So it's Cobblestone pullover by Jared Flood, Brooklyn Tweed, and we'll just leave it there. So Icelandic bind off, give it a try. I might try to do a tutorial for it, but there's like a lot of tutorials out there, and it just has a very neat edge that I'm pretty excited about. So next time I'm binding off in garter, which maybe someday I'll be binding off my mystery shawl and I can use this for that. Okay. Oh, wanted to show you. I think a few episodes ago we talked about notion nooks. These are the cool, remember I showed you and I showed the magnetic clasp click sound? I did a little reel about this as well, but I finally broke down and bought one for myself. And I have been embellishing with some stickers. This is the one that like is the Acadia sticker that we carry. And then my friend Isla, who I work with here on Sundays, she gifted me a few stickers that she picked up on her Maine Yarn Cruise adventures. So this one says knit happens, and this one is a little ball of yarn. But I just wanted to show you how fun it was to pack up my notion nook with my notions. So I took my very messy little notion pouch and I arranged everything super neatly. So I've got like stitch stoppers up here. I have fancy, like my fancier or larger stitch markers. I have my regular ring stitch markers and the smaller ones right here. And notice this. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. So if I open this one, do you see how because there's a magnet here, it pops the little round guy right up so it's ready for me to grab. So that's okay, and then I have to get back in there. Okay, now I'm trying to get them back in and it's like trying to, oh geez, wow, okay. Well, I mean, you can do it. You just need to have two hands, which I didn't because I was showing you. I've got my little locking stitch markers, row counter. This is my sewing up needle plus my little twisty tool for my interchangeable Chow Goose set. And then down here I have scissors. Now these are my Delaque scissors, but they are not in their little pouch thing. And I have a little mini cable needle measuring tape. So get ready for the magnet. Super pleasing. Love that. What else was I going to tell you about? Yes. So this was big. The reason why I gave myself a little treat of buying that ball of millstone and swatching and taking a night off from my shawl was because I say we, but it really was me this year by myself because no Kristen. I presented at the Fiberside Summer Crawl. Now you may have seen in the newsletters if you subscribe that that we were doing this again. I think it's our third year doing it. And basically the Fiberside Summer Crawl is hosted by Longmont Yarn Shop. They are the folks that do the Fiberside chats, which happen throughout the year. And the Fiberside chats model it's a Zoom with a designer or somebody in the knit crochet space. And you have the chance to be live with them on Zoom. And then there's also a Zoom recording of that if you can't make it live, and then you can just watch it at your leisure, but you only have 1 week to watch it. So we've been loving the Fiberside chats. It's really super cool to hear from designers and hear designers talk about their process. So highly recommend. That will pick back up in the fall. And it feels a little bit like, you purchase your ticket to the chat. And for me, it's the cost of a movie ticket and popcorn, except for I get to stay at home, do my knitting, and hear somebody in the knitwear crochet world talk a little bit. And yeah. So in the summer, they take a break from the chats and they do this Fiberside Summer Crawl, which is super great because each Sunday in the crawl, and it runs from July 7th, we just started it, kicked it off in the first episode, and it runs through the end of August. And each Sunday there is a lineup of 4 independent yarn stores all over North America. So we've got some Canadian folks, we've got folks all over the country, and we have 15 minutes to tell a little bit about what makes our shop special. So it's hard to pick what in 15 minutes you could say to somebody. And of course, we're our own worst critics. I am anyway. So there's things that I totally should have would have, should have, could have maybe done differently, but if nothing else, I think that I hopefully communicated my enthusiasm for yarn, and that we have knit-alongs here and we have some beautiful yarns that we have on offer. So some people do like these fancy videos that they put together or slideshows, and I just kept it real, kind of like we do on the podcast, where I'm like holding stuff up and talking about it a little bit. I just think my main self-criticism was I think I talked about too much in too short of a time. Anyway, notes for future, but it was super fun, but also super fun to have it over with, because I definitely was feeling some stress, and I was very grateful I had Isla here, and she was kind of looking at the Zoom chat and popping some links into the chat for people to look at. She was answering a few questions, and all the people who've already bought their access passes will have gotten the link to the recording of Sunday's event. And then, I don't know, maybe in a week or a little bit more, that link to the recording of the Fiberside chat will be available to anybody. So I will maybe try to link to that in our newsletter once that's been released to the public. But there's still time to join the Fiberside Summer Crawl. It's $10, and it's like this really fun virtual opportunity to like be a yarn tourist, you know? And I actually really enjoy watching them, because it's really fun to see just how different, what other people are doing, what they're doing for programming. I love looking at their beautiful independent dyed yarns, which lots of people feature. Sometimes lots of times there's discount codes. Like we've got a shop code running for a discount of $15 for the, discount of 15% for Fiberside crawlers. And if you want to just take a look and see kind of a little bit of what I talked about in my presentation, there is on our website, and I will link down below. On our website, there's a page called Fiberside Summer Crawl, and I put all of the stuff I talked about, plus the discount code for Fiberside crawlers. It's a 15% off all yarn in the shop, and it runs now through August, through the end of the crawl. And then also, because I was talking about some of Alice Dunn-Smith birch tree knitting, I was talking about 3 of her patterns specifically as I was showcasing some yarns. And because Alice is such a good friend of the shop, she also has a discount code running on some of her patterns. So if you go to our website, and I think it's under events and then Fiberside Summer Crawl, you'll see all this information listed. So super fun. Yeah, what else can I tell you about? That might be it. Anyway, I've got to hop off of here and get the shop ready. It's a Tuesday when I'm recording this, and you know, summertime in Maine, it's just very hard to predict. Are we going to have a busy day or a less busy day or a super busy day? And I think, you know, we've had a spell of pretty hot weather for us, which in Maine means like we've been in the 80s a few days, and maybe not even all the way in the 80s, but just like high 70s and a lot of humidity, which, you know, we are delicate northern flowers up here, and we are not really designed for this weather, although it's becoming more of our weather, unfortunately. Not my personal favorites. I think it's probably great if you can be out lying on the dock, by a lake, or at the ocean. But yeah, it's been kind of intense, and feels like we're living in a mushroom planet. So some days it's sunny and it's super hot, and we're like, well, it might be quiet because everybody's going to be at the beach. Nope. We'll be like surprised by tons of people, you know. Or some days it's rainy and we're like, wow, it should be a really busy day at the shop, and maybe people are just at home knitting. I don't know. But we've had a lot of really steady business. And what's super fun is when people come in and they tell us that they've either, you know, follow us on social media, or they've seen this podcast that we do, and they get so excited to be in the shop. So there's so much excitement in summer, for sure, with this influx of summer visitors. And it's just really fun to meet people. And also, you know, sometimes people come in and they've got to like, okay, I saw this on the website. I want to see these 4 yarns. And like, I saw that there was a free pattern for this. Like, can you show me? So we love to help people find what they need around the shop. We've actually still got I'm looking over here because it's just right behind the camera. got a lot of stuff on clearance right now. There are still some nice offerings out here. So if you hopped on our website, and I'll also put it on the link, we've got clearance sale with some really good deals. You know, Cashmere by Lang, we've still got some of that, and that unfortunately they were discontinuing. We've also just got some yarns that they just weren't doing well for us necessarily, so we had to make some space, but there's some really good quality yarns that are on offer in the clearance sale section. So take a look at that. Yeah, all right, now I think I'm ready to wrap up. So all the things, we're on Instagram and Facebook at Cashmere Goat Yarn. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe or leave a comment or a question. We love to answer questions. It's really fun for us when somebody hears something that we talk about and they want to know more about it. So we watch for those comments and we do answer them. So if you ever have a comment or a question, drop it below. Give a thumbs up or a like or whatever we do in YouTube. And thanks for watching. You know, there's a lot of places you could spend your time on the internet, and you just spent 32 minutes with me doing a monologue, because I don't have Kristen here, about our fun shop and the fun stuff that, you know, is going on here, and knitting, all things knitting all the time. So thank you so much for watching. Happy making, happy crochet, happy whatever you're doing, happy knitting, and hope to see you next time for another podcast. Bye.